Welcome to Take a Break, Take a Breath for Monday, January 3rd. Happy 2022. I can't believe I'm saying that. Things just keep moving along so quickly. Take a break, take a breath is an invitation for you to pause in your day and center yourself in God who made you and loves you and calls you by name. During this time, I usually invite you to read a particular passage of Scripture, and I offer a few comments and then use that text as a way for us to focus our attention in our prayer time. I'm going to do that today, and the text that I invite you to read is Romans 16:25 to 27. It is the final doxology that Paul offers in this letter. These are the last few verses, and they're quite debated, actually. Some scholars, some critical scholars, believe that this probably was added by others. The commentator that I would have been reading disagrees with that. He thinks it is indeed Paul's writing, and that if you look at it carefully, you can go back to the very first few verses of Romans 1, and you can see words and themes that were introduced there in Romans 1 and are used at the end here in this doxology. This doxology, which means words of praise for God, the verse I want to focus on is, "Now to God, who is able to strengthen you according to my gospel and the proclamation of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery that was kept secret for long ages." Now, that may seem like an odd verse to focus our attention, but I want to use it to have us recognize that God is with us and that God continues to move things forward in our lives, in our world, and that seems like a good way to start the new year. If you haven't already done so, I invite you to go to a quiet place in your house and close the door if the room has a door and settle into a chair and get comfortable. And close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And as you breathe in the breath of God. And as you breathe out all that separates you from God. As you breathe in the breath of life. And as you breathe out all that does not give you life. As you breathe in God's peace. And as you breathe out all that does not give you peace. Keep breathing in and out, nice and slow. And with each breath, rather than going through the parts of the body like we've been doing, with each breath, I invite you to center yourself in God, to focus your attention on God's presence with you, to allow yourself to fall into God's presence. And as distracting thoughts come, notice them. Don't get overly anxious about them. Don't jerk them away. But pull them in and bring them to the center of your life. Bring them to God. In, out. Drawing closer and closer to God. God who loves you. God who forgives you. claims you as God's own. God who knows you so well, God can tell you the number of hairs on your head. God who knows you better than you know yourself. Imagine yourself in a place of worship with other people. There's no pandemic in this imagination. You're able to be in a crowd of people who are all singing praise to God for all they are worth. They're giving God thanks for all the things that God does. They're grateful for God's grace and peace. But you're a part of all that, and it starts to stir up in you all of your thanksgivings and all the promises for a future that is secure in God. Look around. Who do you see that's around you in that room? What are the things that you're lifting up that offer thanksgiving? What are the promises that you hear? Somehow, in the middle of all this, you feel like the rest of the room fades away. And it's you being lifted up and drawn into God's presence. And the two of you are there together. You speak your words of thanksgiving and your words of hope for the future. And God responds. I'll be quiet while the conversation opens up and continues. And then you recognize that this time of being lifted up into God's presence is beginning to fade for now. And you're more aware of everyone is around you and hear their praises and their thanksgivings and their singing. To allow that image now to fade away, and you bring yourself back to the room where you are. And when you're ready, open your eyes. That's Take a Break, Take a Breath for Monday, January 3rd. If you have feedback for me, or you want to talk or pray, send an email to rick@prospectchurch.org. Now that we have finished with Romans, by the way, we'll begin to read through the Gospel of Luke.